The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Welcome to the Kachmann Mind, Body, Spirit Show. This show is going to be this important that Fred Astaire even showed up today. He will enjoy this show. So today we're going to be speaking about fasting, voluntary not eating, and autophagia, automatic eating. And I will describe the science to you in detail. Let's get on the road. Come on, Fred, you'll need to dance with me. Autophagia acts as a natural conversation, recycling cellular waste. This will be about individual cells. We have trillions of them, but there's some machinery inside, and that's what I'm going to teach you about, and ensuring survival of the strongest elements inside the cell. You can recycle some of the breakdown products in a cell and turn them into new body products or discard them. And that's the science we'll be speaking about. This is about cellular renewal, renewing your body cells. You can't just get rid of them when they get used up. You wouldn't live very long. So the relationship of autophagia, of recycling parts that have been damaged, turning them into new, and getting rid of some parts that you can't. And then it'll be about fasting, time-regulated eating. And we'll discuss that in some detail. We're not talking about missing 2 days a week. What I recommend, and we'll talk in more detail, is time-regulated eating, like 16 hours you fast, and that goes back way in history, and then eating in an 8-hour period. And so autophagia is a cleanup process, okay, that keeps the body's cellular neighborhoods tidy and functional. You don't just get rid of products in the cell that appear to be useless. You can recycle them, clean them up, turn them into new products, and do get rid of a few of those, okay? So autophagia is like a city's cleanup crew. Autophagia removes the cellular clutter and defective components that are left unchecked and could contribute to a variety of health issues. Instead, you break them apart, put them inside of a sack, and recycle them and turn them into new products or to get rid of them. If it continues, a cycle of renewal that takes place inside the houses of the body, the trillions of cells, the houses, keeping things running smoothly. So fasting, on the other hand, is the equivalent of giving the body's internal street sweepers a chance to work without the usual bustle and hustle of incoming traffic. Eating all the time. You give it time to do its work. And during the times of fasting, when food is reduced, things can be cleaned up, audited, restored, rejuvenated, or to get rid of it. So fasting, and the way the science of it is, fasting switches on mTOR, that's a molecule, mTOR, T-O-R, to facilitate. He's the foreman. He's in charge. He keeps things going, builds things up. But fasting, where you don't eat, puts on the brakes on incoming raw materials. You're not eating, and signals mTOR to step down, halt reconstruction, shifting to focus on maintenance and renovation. Okay? So then enter MK, another molecule, AMPK, the factory's resource, the manager, which is aware of the energy stores where the resources dwindling during a fast. You're not eating, the resources are going down. AMPK ramps up activities to recycle crew into autophagia, building substances again, or getting rid of them, cleansing the body to make it brand new, energetic, looking good. Then come another molecule, it's called sirtuins. They work like the engineers, making sure things are running smoothly, fine-tuning the machinery. That's our DNA. That's our DNA that tells us what we look like, what we act like, keep things clean and efficient. So you have the AMPK, the mTOR, and the sirtuins. So during fasting, signals, messages, spring cleaning is happening, increasing our performance, decreases the damage. We have a healthier cell and environment. Our body recalibrates our health benefits. The clockwork inside is finely crafted. We're looking better. So mTOR, remember, makes things grow, builds things up. Fasting hits the switch, turns it off. AMP comes along. Fasting turns on the next phase, wraps up the items that were broken down. They're new again, creating a happier, healthier cell. So what follows is the breakdown of the cargo within the lysosome. That's a fluid inside the cell. When it gets recycled into usable parts. Now, as I mentioned many times before, we're taking down breakdown products in the cell, recycling them, turning them into usable parts. And so the promises of now you're not eating, food is not coming in, so we can accomplish the things we plan to do. And what's happening, because we need energy, we're using energy of fat, for example, so we have some weight loss and longevity. So the fasting and the autophagia resulting for us in a longer, healthier life. That's my point. This is critical to being healthy and longevity. We all should practice this to some extent. I do, no particular reason, but I noticed this morning I weigh 134. I seem to weigh 134 every day. I'm 80 years old. That's really how long Fred Astaire lived. But he stopped dancing at age 70. Yes, I read that in his biography. But I'm still tap dancing at 88. No pills, no illness. Maybe I know what I'm talking about. I don't know. It's not about me. I'm trying to teach this to the world, because this gets changed to YouTube and other nations, which is so full of diabetes, for example. And they're becoming healthy again. But autophagia and fasting are very critical to good health, and it's easy to do. I played pickleball this morning. I don't suggest it for everybody. My last show, I had a pickleball paddle because I tap dance too, or just walking, whatever sport you enjoy. So if you include this in a lifestyle, like I didn't even feel hungry at noon. Pickleball increased certain feel-good hormones in my body that even that exercise made me feel even better. I didn't want to even eat at noon today, but I did, okay? So what we're doing is teaching a lifestyle, which is dependent on your genetics, but your genes only determine 20–30%. The rest is what you're doing, what your lifestyle is. Breast cancer, for example, people think that it's largely a genetic disease. In this city, there is an organization that sends all the money. They send $1.6 million to IU Health for the genetic theory of breast cancer. Breast cancer is 90% lifestyle. A major mistake. The money should have been kept here. That's explained further in one of my other YouTube shows. You go YouTube, Rudy Kachmann, breast cancer, you'll watch a 1-hour show on that. So, so it's not just fasting. It's autophagia can result from renewal, okay? So it's like a library. The information is shelved, and then they're swept clean. So now we're ready for reconstruction. And so we have the cellular sensor, the mTOR, which stops working so we can clean things up. But now the ULK1 molecule is switched on, and we're ready to go back to work. So think of intermittent fasting like 16/8, like I am recommending to you, 16 hours. You're not eating, 8 hours you're eating. They give you a chance for autophagia and fasting the 16 hours. And in 8 hours, if you eat one of the 2 meals of healthy food, good fats, good protein, and don't overdo it with the sugar, you'll live to be 100 and maybe play pickleball with me. And so if we do 16/8, for example, well, you need some energy, and there's some glycogen, that's complex sugars, some stored in the liver, some in the muscles. And that's depleted in about a day, and you can get the energy from that. And then switch into ketone metabolism. Ketones are energy-dense, small energy molecules. Glucose is a much bigger molecule. Ketones are a lot more energetic. And in ancient days, we were not able to eat all day long because we were eating foods or animals that are available only certain times a year. So in evolution, our bodies are designed really to do intermittent fasting. Yes, at times you don't eat, and then you can deplete the glycogen. And we have enough fat in our body, which a lot of people don't realize. Even at 134 pounds, I have in me enough fat to last for a number of weeks. Yes, people don't realize that. And so our history is not just about eating sugars. It's about eating the fats which we stored when food was readily available. We ate like anything and stored some fat which was available for energy. If a person weighs a lot, they could go 1 year without eating. I'm not encouraging that. Remember, I'm encouraging only 16-8, not even skipping 2 days or 1 day. I have found that 16-8 is really the easiest. So proper guidance in fasting can be a powerful tool for health and longevity. For health and longevity. Remember, you can recycle the damaged stuff, and then during fasting, and when you start eating at the 8-hour level, eat some good food, good fats, some protein, and some sugars, not a lot, couple of eggs, guacamole, good fats. It almost doesn't matter the other meal that you'll be eating. So autophagia cells have been great to cleanse up through the to improve your health at a cellular level. Remember, I said at a cellular level, 17 trillion cells. And this research points to the benefits that many diseases can be prevented that way, especially neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. For them, especially recommend fasting and autophagia to see if their disease can be stopped or even reversed. I do that with a number of patients, and they have gotten better. They have improved. But preventing them in the first place is the best method. The key is that they need to be incremental changes, not in 1 or 2 days, but keep hydrated. Take in plenty of water, about at least 5 glasses a day. It's a good idea. There are oxalates in plants, incidentally, and if you don't drink enough water, you could develop a kidney stone. I tell you that it happened to me. And then you want to balance those nutrients, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, but they need to be individualized to some extent. What the latest science indicates that we should be eating about 60–70% good fats. Everybody thinks fat's the enemy. Wrong. There's a difference between good fats, omega-6s, the essential fats, and omega-3, which are the good fats, the good fats. So, and we're all different. Each individual is different. So we all need to eat a bit different depending on you. And blood testing is the bottom line. The bottom line is blood testing. You have got to get a blood test to know where you're at. And I always tell people it's not just your blood sugar, your HbA1c. You need your serum insulin that drives the sugar into the cell. That is, insulin can be elevated 10 to 15 years before the blood sugar is ever elevated. Yes, your HbA1c measures the blood sugar, not the insulin. So ask for a serum insulin test. We should be doing that throughout the world. Yes, pediatricians are not doing it and should start at age 3. Many sick children, the biggest obesity rate is age 2 to 6. Check the serum insulin. And so you can easily add autophagia and fasting to your lifestyle. Two meals a day. That's what we did in evolution years ago. Yes, we started farming maybe 10,000 years ago, and to make money for the industry, they switched to 3 meals a day. That's okay if it's the right food. But if you want to be healthier quicker, 2 meals a day, 16-8, fasting and autophagia, you'll live to be 100, unless you get hit by a truck. So here's some tips. So it's not just about our age. we can remain very healthy as we get older. Some aging does indeed occur. So imagine autophagia as a firmly turned orchestra, like an orchestra. Each instrument plays a pivotal role in the symphony of cellular health, like the symphony of cellular health. Food and eating patterns is the conductor, okay? It's a harmonic, the tuner. Certain foods are rich in sugar, and you got to know what they are. That's akin to a conductor who brings in the tempo, drowns out the melodies if you're eating too much sugar. Much like a chaotic release where musicians can't focus if you're eating the wrong food. So eating the right food is correct. 60 to 70% good omega-3 fats, not omega-6 fats, 20% or so protein. Proteins, about 20%, yes. If you eat too much protein, your body recycles broken down proteins. And if you're eating too much protein, that body only needs a certain amount, yes. What it will do, convert them to sugar. A lot of people don't know that. They think a high-protein diet would be the healthiest diet in the world. You need a certain amount. You need a certain amount, but you don't need as much as you may think. So, so fasting or feasting on foods that are nutrient-dense, low in sugars, leafy greens, avocados, good fats, nuts, like a maestro who conducts with gentle authority, playing in perfect harmony and symphony. Proteins in moderation. Remember, I spoke about that already. Especially can work double-edged, and excess can overshadow the rest, like sugars. Remember, I mentioned that to you already. You eat too much protein, it gets converted to sugar. But we need a certain amount of protein. Most of our proteins are recycled, about 80%. They're not broken down. They're not used up. They're not used for autophagia to any great extent. You only need 20% new proteins every day. Most are recycled. So exercise clearly has value. And your body's power washers that wash your body, the strength training, the squats, lifts, muscle fiber breakdown, and the rebind, they're recycled. But remember, only 20% or so. High-intensity individual training has value, where you go real fast and then slow. That's where pickleball goes in, because you're slow and then fast, you're slow and you're fast. That's one of the best exercises. But remember, I said not necessarily to do it because you may be imbalanced. You may take a fall. So I don't recommend it for everybody. But I seem to be getting away with it. But at age 88, I don't meet anybody as old as me or older. I'm sure there's some out there. But any exercise, just walking every day, maybe singing a song. I recently moved out of my house. It was just too big. And I moved into the riverfront in Fort Wayne here. And I tell you a funny story. They have a gym in there, and you can close it. And inside the gym is a room where you can close the door, and they have nice mirrors, handles. And I go in there about 4 days a week, and I tap dance. That's something I've done for years. and that's where the Fred Astaire came from. And I watched his YouTubes, but I'm still doing it every day. Go in there, and I have music on my phone, my favorite songs. I play them, I tap dance to them, I dance in clothing that is entertaining. Maybe you, yeah, I do wear the hats, and I have one of his canes, and I tap dance and look in the mirror, and I have the hat on and sing along some of the songs that I like and that he liked. And then there's some weights in there, and I lift weights, not heavy, you know, 5, 10 pounds, 12 and a half occasionally, no more. And I do exercises with them to strengthen my body, from squats to turning and over my head. And I do it 4 days a week. But what am I doing? I'm making it fun. I'm having to think. I'm exercising my mind because I memorize some of the songs. And then sometimes I go to Sweet World, the musical capital of the world. Thank you, Chuck Sirac. And every third Monday they have karaoke, and every third Tuesday of the month they have a song that you must write. And you know what I'm doing? I'm writing some of the songs myself. I did one just last night on walking in nature, how to relax, to relieve stress, because we all have stress. I have stress. If you were to lay a donut in front of me now and I could smell it or see it, I might just eat it in spite of having picking pretty healthy foods to eat. So there's certain things you can barely overcome. And so I did that one. The next Tuesday, where they have the thing at Sweetwater, I'm going to be doing one on breast cancer. Yes, breast cancer. Because all the money we make on pickleball, tennis, and golf, a certain organization in town, they sends it all to Indianapolis for genetic research at IU. IU is moving the hospital system into our city. But what they don't realize that 90% of breast cancer is due to lifestyle, not genetics. They're wasting the money. The money needs to be kept here, that our people will smoke less, drink less, exercise more, walk more, get rid of weight. Every woman that is overweight has a high chance of developing breast cancer. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that. I think most women don't know that. That's why I do the Sweetwater thing, and I do YouTube shows on it. You can go to YouTube, Rudy Cashman breast cancer. You get a 1-hour show on that. I highly recommend you watch that. Breast cancer is very common. Let's go over the history of fasting a little bit. So fasting is as old as humankind. It goes back thousands of years, thousands. Large part in early human survival because we didn't have any food available, so that was automatic. That wasn't voluntary fasting, okay? That was mandatory fasting. So it affected our DNA. So the fasting was part of life. Many times no food is available. But remember, we had some fat in our body, which we may have stored. Even agricultural practices started 10,000 years ago, where we started growing some of our food. Food was not as available as we thought many times. Actually, still many people were starving. But for the past 150 years, food access has become more predictable. You can buy it in certain places, but some of the food now is very unhealthy. They process the food. They took a lot of the vitamins and nutrients out of there and put chemicals in there, and you're eating them. And we're developing a very unhealthy nature. Just look around, look around, look around. But again, I would like to warn you that 30% of the people are of normal weight, and are still diabetic. And diabetes causes 50 to 100 illnesses. You don't want it. You don't want it. Get a serum insulin test, which is elevated 10 to 15 years before the blood sugar goes up. And while the insulin is elevated, it's causing changes in your body that are really causing disease which you don't know about because you have no symptoms. They discovered that when they autopsied Korean, Vietnamese, American soldiers who were healthy when they joined the army, and they were shot or killed, and they looked at their bodies, found that the Americans were full of disease. Insulin was doing that. Insulin is your enemy. Ancients used ketones, yes, fat metabolism. They ate till they get real heavy stored fat. Like in front of my house that I just recently sold, there's a woodchuck living under my house. I protected him. I read, if they're alive 3 days after they get there, your house is safe. I read that. And Woody has been living there almost 20 years. He looks at me, shows me his teeth, and he smiles at me. Yes, I've become his friend. I connected to nature. The final sale of the house isn't for a couple of weeks yet, so we went there today to pick up some things, and Woody showed up to say goodbye. But he's gained quite a bit of weight. He's going to go underground and hibernate and live off the fat for the next 6 months or so, and he'll come out again in the spring. The new owners of the house probably won't see him because he'll be down the earth in the spring. That'll be Woody. Yeah. He now has wife and children living in other tree stumps. They're going to get a real education. But I'm friends with nature. You ain't got to kill them. Be nice to them, and they'll be nice to you. Woody smiles at me. And but ancient used ketones, fat metabolism. Woody's living off of fat. And years ago, we lived off of fat and glycogen. And that is how we stayed alive. There were times there was no food. So fasting is the oldest dieting intervention in the world. In the world. Fasting provides a variety of other benefits. Jason Fung, F-U-N-G, look at his YouTube shows, Obesity Code, Diabetes Code, Cancer Code, great books. He's on YouTube, Jason Fung, F-U-N-G. I highly recommend it. He wrote a book, The Complete Guide to Fasting. And he just goes through days and weeks and things, but I recommend 16-8. Keep it simple, something we could all do. But fasting was spiritual, political, religious, therapeutic. So intermittent fasting is not a diet, it's an eating pattern. You're not on a diet. It's an eating pattern, isn't it interesting? So, but almost all religions use fasting, from Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Taoism, Jainism. They all used it, and some for religious reasons, some for health reasons, in many different methods, some just certain holidays, for example, and we need to respect that. And it has value. Hippocrates said, everyone has a doctor in him, okay? We just have to help him in his work. Isn't that interesting? Animals stop eating when they're sick. When animals get sick, they stop eating. Yes, yes. And blood sugar drops. We're eating off our fats. And if we're sick, maybe we have cancer. Cancer's a sugar feeder. It was well established. Yeah. by Otto Warburg in the 1930s. Read about his work. If you get cancer, learn about ketones, which are fat metabolism. Don't feed your cancer with sugar. Even the cancer people don't talk about this, and maybe because they're making more money for not talking about it. Maybe these companies that sell the drugs are giving them some money, or maybe even bribes. I had one admit it to me. Mm-hmm. Find out, gain information. So your time-regulated eating, your glycogen stores will be first depleted, and then you go into fat metabolism. Remember, even skinny me at 134, I have plenty of fat in my muscles. Yes, lot of fat in my muscles. Maybe 40,000 grams, actually, you wouldn't believe it. Even thin-looking people have fat in their muscles. Yes, very important. So intermittent fasting can slow the aging process, decreases inflammation, improves glucose regulation, lowers blood pressure, facilitates fat loss, decreases risk of diabetes, heart disease, etc. Yes. Humans live on 1/4 of what they eat, and the other 3/4 lives live the doctor. You know what? That is written on the Egyptian pyramid inscription, and that was written there 3,800 BCE. They've known it for that long. Humans live on 1/4 of what they eat, and the other 3/4 lives the doctor. That's on an Egyptian pyramid written 3,800 years ago. Even Fred Astaire would dance around that one. Okay. Fasting is the greatest remedy. The physician within, that was published 1525 by Philippus Paracelsus, 1525. Fasting is the greatest remedy. The physician within. That's the reason autophagia and fasting, I highly recommend it. Let's talk about some of the original literature. Edward Dewey, that's a familiar name. Edward Dewey published a book called The No Breakfast Plan. Many years ago, and the No Breakfast Plan and the Fasting Cure, he published that in 1900. Wow. Yes. 1900, that has been known. Edward Dewey. And I put a note next to my note here. It says, find the book. Since I'm in the library today, before I finish, I think I'm going to see if they got the book. Okay? So Upton Sinclair, also in the 1900, wrote, "No phase of the experience of fasting surprised me more than the activity of my mind. I read and wrote more than I had dared to do for a year before." He found when he's fasting, his mind is so much more active that he could write a lot more. I'll be honest with you, I found that to be my experience since I've written 25 books and read a few thousand, 2,000 in my basement, okay? So I found myself, because I get up, because when I was busy neurosurgeon, I was working so many hours a week, I had to do all my preparation for these TV shows, which I've done for 15 years, and wrote my books by getting up very early. And I could also look at Woody and the birds and the deer walking by. It connected me to nature early in the morning, and I found out early in the morning I could write songs and poetry better. So I did a number of spoken words largely health related, which reminds me by next Monday at Sweetwater, I'm going to do one of my spoken words on breast cancer. I have the words selected. I have some of the words rhymed already, but I need to finish the job maybe early tomorrow morning. But you'll find when you get up early, you can do poetry and write songs a lot easier. Isn't that really fascinating? That's my own experience. And incidentally, if you want to read more details about autophagia in fasting, this is a very good book to read. Autophagia Made Easy by John Adams. You know, we all want some more detail. I can't put everything on TV today, but this is a very good book. Let me tell you something about books, too, and buying books. When I go onto Amazon, some people, you know, just like to read them off the internet, and they're cheaper than the PDF, but I like to feel a book myself and underline and circle things so I can go look at it again. That's why my 2,000 books, now that I'm moving, 80% were accepted by Wesleyan University, and they created a library there for their students and other people to walk in on the third floor of the university that are west of town across from Lutheran Hospital. You can sit there and look at them for free to pass around information. So, like this library, isn't it wonderful that we are in the library here that Andrew Carnegie curated? He gave money all over the place and to musical centers. Would you believe it? New York City, he donated 70 libraries and a Carnegie Hall. Fort Wayne, he created a beautiful library here. And then the most gorgeous thing of all, everything is free. I've done all these TV shows for free. I'm starting podcasts now. Maybe some will go to Instagram. Everything in the library here is free. This will be converted to YouTube within a week, and the library does that for me for free. And what's happening now is so much diabetes in the world and the 50 to 100 diseases it causes that India has the most diabetics in the world. India, China, and then the U.S. We have the higher percentage, but they have more people. They called me up one time, their ambassador did, and asked me if they could take these YouTube shows, which are these TV shows, and convert it to YouTube. It's all due to Andy Carnegie and the library that did it. I mean, I'm here doing it, but I wouldn't be, you wouldn't be seeing it if it wasn't for this wonderful library. And they are using phones and iPads, computers, and translating these TV shows into other dialects. They have many dialects in the country. And they're getting rid of their diabetes and undoing and preventing diabetes right off their iPhones. They came to see me. They sent you guys to see me, not a few months ago, to my house. And then remember, I told you I feed the ducks and the geese and Woody down there. And there were 25 geese in the pond. Who likes geese? Maybe except me. And as we're standing in the driveway, the 25 geese lined up one behind the other in my 2-acre pond, which is right back of my house. And he did 5 figure of eights. And the Indian doctor turns to me and he says, Dr. Kachmann, I think you're connected to nature. Well, maybe so. Maybe so. And but that actually indeed did happen. So let's review the fasting a little bit more. And let's talk about the birth of autophagia. Autophagia, a way of cleaning house, remember we talked about that, takes the waste, the broken down habits, and recycles them. In essence, autophagia is a master multitasking process, timely, going back millennia, okay? So the disease of autophagia is like a crew. It's cleaning things up. And who came up, who developed the science of it? There's a Dr. Christian de Duve, D-U-V-E. He's the trailblazer, stumbled upon the first temple, the lysosome, inside the cell. That's the fluid inside the cell. Remember, we talked about trillions of cells, like deciphering the Rosetta Stone. His work laid the foundations for understanding this unknown language of cellular degradation. Remember, we talked things are broken down inside the cell. Okay? So ancient scripts, the molecular pathways, the science of it. Then Yosshimoni, Y-O-S-H-I-M-O-N-I, Ottosumi, O-T-T-S-U-M-I, discovered the pathway of autophagia itself. He discovered that the heat of a vibrant, of a vibrant city. He discovered how cells recycle their own compounds inside the cell. He developed the science. So Christian Devere's discoveries identified the lysosomes, the fluid in the cells, the suicide bags, the little micro packages where they package the pieces of broken down baggage, the broken down cellular compounds, and responsible for the degradation and recyclers he discovered. And then Ottosumi contributed the elucidation of the autophagia process. He used baker's yeast to develop the science. This actually happened, so a real scientific discovery. So he described a map and how it all worked. Another book, the fasting is connected to the mitochondria, the energy molecules inside your cell. Mitochondria really are old bacteria. They wanted to escape the dangerous world millions of years ago and jumped inside the cell. Remember, we're speaking about the cell. Every cell has them. They're not in the nucleus. And some have 1,000. Some have 100. So fasting keeps the mitochondria healthy. It maintains emergency homeostasis, removes dysfunctional cellular components. Remember, we said that. They are causing that were causing inflammation. So time-controlled fasting prevents the mitochondrial process of aging. So if you do fasting and autophagia, you're going to have slower aging, live longer, healthier. And if you do the 16-8, you realize why I'm saying you're going to live healthy to 100 with me. What, frankly, is the use of living an extra 20 years if you are unhealthy? We want you to tap dance with Fred Astaire and play pickleball with me. Okay, so mitochondria promote longevity and eliminating the production of negative oxygen species, free radicals, and dysfunctional organelles. Autophagia eliminates them. So Fasting has tremendous effects on the brain. Remember I said that? And it causes you to grow new brain cells. Yeah. BDNF, brain-derived neurocell factor, increases BDNF by 50 to 400%. Remember this, what I mentioned, what a great way for you to possibly not get or reverse neurologic diseases, from dementia to Parkinson's disease. And so it gives, fasting gives the brain ketones. Fasting increases mitochondrial biogenesis. You are growing more mitochondria, and helps you lose weight. The brain, incidentally, uses about 130 grams of glucose a day. So the brain uses glucose, but the brain loves to metabolize ketones. Excuse me. And if you eat a low sugar diet, your sugar goes down, your insulin goes down, the fat cells open up. Fat cells go to the liver, and are converted to ketones, and your energy loves to live on ketones. Your muscles love to live on ketones. Your heart, your kidney love to live on ketones. You can see now that that really goes way back in history. That goes way back in history. We were using keto metabolism millions of years ago. And that's the reason now to go into autophagia and fasting now, and develop this way of living, which I'm probably doing about 80%. No reason to, no medical reason to, but like I said, I played pickleball this morning, ate no breakfast, didn't even feel like eating lunch, but then I ate lunch to get some energy for this show, and I'll eat again around 6 o'clock. So I think I gave you the story of autophagia and fasting to be healthy. The eating 2 meals a day, I think, is a very good way for all of us to eat. You will have a lot less illnesses. You will prevent illnesses. You will certainly prevent breast cancer. Remember I said breast cancer is about 90% a lifestyle disease, and that is a little bit shameful. And you go to our school system and you just Google school lunch, and what you see is that number one is there. You see milk on every day. They give them some milk, but read the history of milk. Don't just go on what I say. Joe Keon, Whitewash, 100 scientific references, and read that book. You will see there to give your child milk to drink with all the hormones, enzymes in milk. Like when a baby cow is born, they immediately inject it with the growth hormone, and then they put to increase milk production, and they put it in a cage, and they put up pesticides and herbicides on that, and then you give the milk to your kid. Every kid is required to drink that in schools today. Does that make any sense to you? And then then I see fruit juices a lot. You should be eating the fruit, not just the juice. And I think what it is, especially the milk people, they have bribed your congressman, yes, millions of dollars, to give to our congressman that I noticed in the neighborhood health clinic here, almost every child there is diabetic. Understandable, because if you look at the menu, what they're feeding our kids in our schools, they're all sugar addicts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we accept it. Well, I don't accept it. That doesn't mean you have to accept it. I'm doing my best through TV shows, and in the hospital system, I've spoken to them. They're not interested in hearing what I got to say. I even gave them free books because I make a lot of money for sick people. That's true. And now IU is coming into town. You think it's going to be cheaper health care? They'll increase the price because they'll see less people. I'm so grateful though, that the Bowen, B-O-W-N, Health Center has entered the markets in Ohio, and I think they're in South Bend, and they're in Ohio, and 3 in this town. And I'm going to meet with them within a week or so on the Goshen Road in Fort Wayne. I've been, you go past the Bowen Center, go sit down in the waiting room and just watch what's going on. You would think they are like Otis Boehm years ago, very famous governor, and it was about addiction. Well, look at their website now. They're treating 17 diseases. Yes, I'm going to meet with them. I noticed diabetes is one of them, and I'm going to develop a relationship and tie them all together. I noticed that they're constantly across from a hospital. You see a hospital, and there's a Bowen Center. They're not associated. The Bowen Center is seeing the people, and the hospitals are doing the surgery and running the test. But the Bowen Center is preventing the diseases. It's preventing the diseases. So I'm just excited to meet with them, and I heard they were excited to meet with me, and maybe we could teach people how to prevent disease. Diabetes being a big one. Type 2 diabetes causes 50 to 100 diseases. Majority of those could be prevented. We could cut healthcare costs in half, and the people wouldn't suffer and die young. We'll be preventing many cancers, many diseases. Heart disease is a sugar disease, yet the cardiologist, I caught up on this mantra to give people statin drugs, and that fat is the problem. Fat's not the problem, sugar is the problem. So in summary, I hope you've learned something. I know Fred Astaire certainly will teach me another dance after hearing all this. Thank you, Fred. And what a wonderful man. I watch his YouTube shows and read his books, and I hope I could be 1/10,000th as good as him. Well, maybe I'm more about health, but he sure made people healthy. I hope you'll watch some of our other shows that I do. I'm just the beginning of your information, just the beginning. And read books. Read other books I recommend. Listen, look at the YouTube shows that I have out there now. Just go YouTube, Rudy Kachmann, Facebook, 1,000 TV shows, and they're about health. And you don't have to agree with me. Stop me, talk to me, look me up. I've changed my mind about things I spoke about a number of times, and I probably will in the future. But 2,000 books in my basement, I read every one of them, and I will keep on reading more. But anyway, thanks for listening to the show here today, and I hope you have learned about autophagia and fasting. I think that's an easy way to live to be 100, to play pickleball or tap dance with me. And Fred says, goodbye.